Here are 7 reasons why it's more common to suffer an ACL tear now. Many ACL tears are sport-related or exercise-related injuries, and so that's why I'm going to give you some of these reasons here. Number 1 is that sports are more popular than ever these days. With the rise of television over the past 100 years, and then the rise of internet video streaming over the past just 20 years, sports are being watched around the world more than they ever have in the history of humanity. Because of that, more people are inspired to go do sports. And then number 2 is sports are more accessible than ever before. Because of the popularity of people watching sports and going to sporting events, there are more fields and courts and equipment available to people at cheaper prices as well all over the world. So more people are taking up soccer and basketball, and American football is becoming more popular all over the world. So more people are just becoming more active in sports, which sets up the possibility of more ACL injuries. And I think there are great benefits to playing sports, and an ACL injury is just a side effect that can actually be prevented. You can learn more about that throughout our channel, but there's some awesome benefits like being healthier because you're just more active. Sports also help you to build teamwork, and they're also recreational because they're fun for a lot of people. Reason number 3 is that some people are more sedentary than ever. Of course, with the rise of television and computers and phone screens, all the monitors, the devices that we have all around us, people tend to sit more. And then especially if you have a desk job or you're in school, you're a student, then you're probably sitting for long extended periods of time during the day. And if you go from 6, 7, 8 hours plus of sitting to then being very active for 30, 60, 90 minutes or 2 hours or more, then it's a bit of an extreme. And when you're still, you get stiffness in your muscles or in your joints, or maybe you just have coordination difficulty. In other words, you need to kind of warm up before you get into more active sports or active exercise. It's during that stiffness and the loss of coordination, not being warmed up, where you're going to have a tendency to step wrong or take a bad movement that can set you up for injury. So if you spend a lot of time being sedentary because that's the nature of what you have to do right now, then there's more potential for you to run into an ACL injury. Number 4 is that more women are playing sports than ever. And I love this because usually sports were male dominated or only allowed to be done by males, but as you've seen these days, there's so many females out there doing amazing things in the sports world. However, women's natural shape, most women tend to be curvier in the hips relative to men. This causes the thigh bones to want to come inwards depending on how they stand and other factors, and this can set up increased tension through the ACL, which makes women prone to getting an ACL tear. That's completely preventable even in women, but because there's more women in sports, there's more ACL tears. Number 5 is overtraining. Now, going to the extreme, we talked about being sedentary, but if you are very active, because some people get obsessed with sports and exercise, and they'll exercise for long periods of time, or they'll play their sport for long periods of time, or multiple times a day, several days per week, or even every day per week. If this is you, you have to be careful to not overtrain. What I mean by overtraining is that you're doing too much for what your body can handle, even a specific body part, because it is possible that your muscles recovered and you feel ready to go exercise, but you have to understand that muscles recover much faster than other body parts, like ligaments, which the ACL is a ligament. It stands for anterior cruciate ligament. And it just takes a little bit longer to recover from an exercise event or even like a minor injury. It takes longer to recover than a tendon or a muscle or even bone. So if you have recently increased the load of activity going through your legs, especially through your knee joints, then you need to make sure to hang out there for a while before you increase again, because you need to give the cartilage and definitely your ligaments time to catch up and its tolerance to do the activities that you want to put it through. Number 6 is overloading the ACL specifically. Now, if you tend to bend your knees and your knees come inwards, your knees come together when you say do squats or even just simple things like stand up and sit down, versus holding your knees outwards with your knees generally over your feet. Your feet should generally be outwards when you're doing like a squat motion, for instance. This tendency of your knees to come in will put excessive pressure, tension going through the ACL right there. And if that's the way that you tend to jump, if that's the way that you tend to squat, especially with weight, if that's the way you tend to lunge or play any sport or do any activity, then you are over tensioning your ACL, and it can take it for so much time, but there comes a point where you pass a threshold, it's weakened, and then it might tear on its own, or somebody falls into you, or you take a funny step that causes you to put way too much force through your knee, and then you can end up suffering an ACL tear at that point. But if you have the habit of not bending your knees inwards, then you're going to keep a healthier ACL. And if somebody were to fall into your leg or you take a funny step, then you're going to be more likely to be able to tolerate that without your ACL tearing, because you wouldn't have pre-weakened it by constantly bringing your knees together in your everyday motions and in your exercise motions. Number 7 is that muscle imbalances are prevalent. In other words, they're so common out there. That whole knees going inwards at point number 6 is related to this, because when you have a muscle imbalance, specifically the one that sets up ACL tension, extra ACL tension, it's usually dominant quad muscles, the muscles that are on the front of the knee, above the kneecap. These muscles, when they're overly active, they tend to cause you to stabilize your legs and move your legs in a way where your knee wants to rotate and bend inwards. Like if you squat with your knees in or jump with your knees in, that's going to want to overload that ACL. But if you can train yourself to fix that muscle imbalance and use your quads the way they're intended to be used, and then it's usually the glute muscles up in the back of the hip that need to get stronger, that will take tension off your ACL and allow you to move with proper loads through your knee as you do all your sporting activities and exercise activities. That's what it means to correct the muscle imbalance. However, in typical training, in the way that we do squats, for instance, the way that we jump, we're not told to jump or to squat in a way that fixes the muscle imbalance, because most healthcare professionals and most fitness professionals are completely unaware of this idea of muscle imbalances. But as an expert in helping people avoid surgeries like ACL reconstruction surgeries, I see time and time again that this needs to be corrected in individuals that have suffered an ACL injury. They need to learn how to fix their muscle imbalances and keep them maintained, keep them in the proper balance throughout their exercise career, so that they don't overload their poor ACLs again and re-injure it later. But on my side, when I'm helping somebody, this requires retraining so many things, even simple basic things like running, jogging, and in some cases, even walking. If you want help with correcting the root muscle imbalance that puts too much tension through that ACL, then you need to learn more about our ACL Tear Recovery Program. This program is specifically for people that have had an ACL tear, or they've had a surgery and it didn't go the greatest, or still having problems after the surgery. This program is designed to treat the root muscle imbalance that takes tension off that ACL deep in the knee, so that it can heal, it can have the normal tension going through it, and so that you can get confidently back to your exercise or even sports, even competitive sports, with full confidence that you're not going to re-injure your ACL because you've restored the balance within your muscles. This program is over 40 videos long, and it's all step-by-step so that you can walk yourself through the process to correct the muscle imbalance and make sure that your knee is healthy for the long term. There's a link to this program, the ACL Tear Recovery Program, down in the description below. And I've also got a playlist of all our ACL videos. It's called the ACL Tear Help Playlist. You'll find a link for that down in the description below too. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. Please give us a thumbs up if you thought it was helpful. Please share this with somebody you think needs to see this. Drop a comment below if you have a question, or if we've helped you out on any of our videos with any of our content, or if you're in our program and you're getting better, let us know in the comments. We love to see that, and it helps other people that are looking for help with their ACL tear as well. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and turn on our notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the helpful videos we post each and every week. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.